sweetness and dryness, so kind of that scale. So if you don't know much about wine or why things are considered to be dry, that's okay. It's a liquid. I don't understand why it would be dry either, but I have kind of explained and written it down, so I'll be reading it so I don't mess it up. Wine writers have put words to the concept of dryness for years, and food scientists have literally studied why some wines taste more dry than others, and both of these groups claim that it's the aroma, tannin, and acidity that are the key components to why it tastes dry. So tannins, for example, are compounds found in wine, generally being several classes of phenolic compounds, including non-flavonoid phenolics, flavonoids, and in other words, the stuff that tastes bitter in wine, which is referred to as tannins. So these are found primarily in the skins, seeds, and stems of grapes and all kinds of plants, really. Apples, green tea, chocolate. And they're actually so good for humans too. Tannins is actually the portion in the wine that is considered healthy. And it's because they sort of are the plant's natural part of their defense system against pests, disease, UV radiations, and actually has been shown to reduce cholesterol in humans. So neat. Mythbuster moment, however, tannins are not what give you headaches when you drink wine. That is a myth. And we will be going into why you get headaches, like mad headaches, when you drink wine. So tannins are more in red than white wines, but they're still in there, just greatly less than red. So why are white wines so much sweeter than others? It has nothing to do with the grape variety, but actually the winemaker. So during fermentation, the yeast is doing its thing, and the winemaker will interject and stop the yeast from eating all of the sugars, resulting in sweeter wines. So it's more complicated than that, obviously. Bone dry wines still have sugar, but humans just can't taste sugars at certain levels. It's more interpreted as body when it's at a certain level, and some wines that are incredibly dry have a lot of residual sugars in them, but those are actually there to combat that acidity level that's in the wine that gives it its flavor. Residual sugar is not bad, by the way. It just creates the flavor. And for lower quality grapes that are used in bulk wines, things you see at stores for real cheap, have a lot more sugars in them because it's lower quality grapes, cheaper grapes, so more sugar to make them taste better. And then people will buy them, like a lot of them, and then you get a massive headache. That's kind of how it works. But anyways, we'll get into a couple more facts while wine tasting, and I'll be reading you the bottles and just giving you my opinions. We'll cook. So acidity also tricks our perception of wine sweetness. So sour counterbalances the sweet. So if you have a wine which is actually a wine I've never tried before, and that was so loud, a Kim Crawford Sauvignon Blanc. So this is actually considered our driest, but note that just because it's a Sauvignon Blanc, I actually might be saying that wrong, does not mean that it is actually drier than some of these. Generally on the scale, it's really all about the region, what the winemakers do, that type of thing. But to keep it nice and basic, again, regions and such, all very different. I am making this one, considering it to be our driest on the basic scale I'm using. So, Kim Crawford Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc 2019. So, it has a dazzling aroma of intense tropical fruits and fresh cut grass notes. Fancy. Why do I always put it above my head? The palate bursts with passion fruit, citrus, and ripe stone fruit flavors from exceptional vineyards in New Zealand's famous Marlborough region. So we craft this proudly. We proudly craft this exuberant Sauvignon Blanc, delicious with fresh seafood, goat cheese, or on its own. So let's try it. The first wine of Christmas, really. You guys are gonna get a lot of good pours, hopefully. This is still a big glass of wine, and I actually made a note to myself to not make them huge since I'm having 6 glasses in one video, but hey, here I am. So, based on my wine tours, I know I'm not supposed to hold the glass because that can change the temperature and make the flavor change, but I don't remember much about the legs, that type of thing. It's basic, but I do remember there's an oh wow moment. So you're supposed to smell before. Okay, then kind of open it up. I usually put it on the table and stir really fast at the bottom. And the moment it's supposed to smell a little different is that oh wow moment where the flavor is apparently optimal. I could be just pulling this out of I'm not pulling this out of thin air. It's something I learned on a couple wine tours, but I mean, hey, it could just be dependent on what you're having. Cheers. You're going to be getting a lot of actual drinking and swallowing in these. Normally, I don't do that. Normally, I cut that out because not everybody likes, those sounds, but that was a huge sip. It's good. This is very, I don't taste what they're saying. Again, basic. But I would say, if you want a bottle of wine that is not very sweet, it's very light in the sweetness level, or at least from what I'm gathering, and kind of has the slightest fruit flavor, very slight, but feels a little, I don't know, again, no great wine words, but sharp, I suppose, because it's a little dry, then this is for you, not too dry. It's not considered a assertive wine with glorious fruit flavors. So they don't really get into it here. They don't really toot their own horn like Kim Crawford was. But let's see what it's like. Oh, it smells really good. Definitely smells much sweeter than the Kim Crawford. Maybe because it was my first wine, it didn't seem that dry, but just from the scent alone, I'm like, that was way drier than what this will be. Once again, I poured way too big of a glass. My legs are going numb. Okay, let's give it a little smell. Oh, that smells very good. Little stir. Again, not really supposed to. You can change the temperature of it, and that just can change the flavor. Again, like I really know what I'm doing. I can't wait to see the comments of people being like, she's a joke. But hey, it's fun for me. I love wine. Oh wow. Oh yeah. That is very, very good. This is honestly a very easy drinking wine. Definitely less dry than the Kim Crawford. It's not sweet necessarily, but it isn't not. This is what you get when you get someone who doesn't know the fancy words giving you a wine tasting. 12 Wines at Christmas. Who cares, you guys? Go to look at a real wine channel if you want actual intense details. It doesn't taste very fruity, but you know what I realized I forgot? absolutely loving it. Not as big. Still decent though. It's when you see the width of the glass that you kind of realize, hey, just going a little ham here. I haven't done a video where I can just drink and not have to do hours and hours of research in so long, so this is great. Okay, let's have a smell. Shocking. I just don't think it's what I expect. Okay, so we're supposed to, God, I keep spilling. We're supposed to be able to taste pear, apple, or white peach. Let's see if that actually achieved here. Wow. That is so much sweeter than everything else I've had so far. Okay. So in the previous wines, it went from, I can definitely taste notes of, fruit, of grapes, then to, yeah, it's kind of there, but here, Grey Monk, oh, she showed up. Oh, the flavors are prominent. This is still considered to be dry, but I had water in between. I had some of the bodies of Christ. I'm sorry, I was raised religious, and you can very much taste the fruits in this. You know what? Normally, I really can't tell if the exact flavors are coming through, but I very much feel like pear is in this. It does say flavors of pear, apple, and white peach. I can kind of shockingly, I can kind of taste a little bit of apple mixed with pear in here. Zero peach, and my favorite snack is peaches. Literally, I don't taste it here, but I actually taste, in this glass of wine, I actually taste fruits. Sorry, my throat is making weird sounds. Oh, and just so you know, Grey Monk, very smooth, almost no hints of dryness to it. Sometimes it's so dry it feels like it's pulling off any sort of, like I've had wines that are so dry it feels like it's pulling back your saliva. But this is not dry, but definitely not sweet necessarily. So currently, if you just want a flavorful wine that is not dry, this is your go-to. The Grey Monk is definitely, or that's the one I was talking about. The Oyster Bay is definitely good if you want a bit of dry and a little bit of flavor, and the Crawford is kind of if you want the whole, not overly dry but not sweet package, so more of a neutral wine almost. But I currently think my favorite is the Grey Monk, and I don't necessarily like super sweet wines, just to be clear, but this one is excellent, and it is just wow. I could see myself drinking this a lot and regretting it later. Wow. Grey Monk, excellent wine. I asked a few of my friends too for their options of wine. I'd had the Oyster Bay 20 to 25. Once they're done and they are properly candied, you can take them out. Both are best served when ready, right out of the oven after a couple minutes of cool down. And honestly, if you guys do try these, please let me know. Tag me on Instagram, message me, because they're just so good, and I would love to know if you guys do it, if you like it. So that concludes this portion of the video. Good luck with the rest of Drunk Angel trying to pretend like she makes sense. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Okay, so alright, I just took a little cooking break, which you can definitely, or should be, have already watched. You see, I needed it, and because I did, you can actually hear the timers a little bit in the background. But we still have 3 excellent bottles of wine to review for you. So let's move on to our next one. I'm just logging in so I can see the sweetness chart that I am following. And we will be moving on to our Riesling. Now this bottle is beautiful. I've had this before. My neighbor loves it. She purchases wine often based on how pretty the bottle is, and I don't mind that as a technique, because guess what? You can try a lot of cool things based on the label, and I always try more different styles than she does, so it's very interesting. So based on a Riesling, this is more of an off-dry wine, sometimes considered to be sweet based on the region. But this Riesling specifically is a Riesling green label, by DINE. So let's just read the back to see what that means. So the medium sweet Riesling from the Mosel Valley in Germany, has fresh citrus and green apple notes. With its versatile fruitiness and refreshingly acidity, it pairs perfectly with shellfish, seafood, and spicy foods. So let's try out this Riesling right now. So during my off break, because seriously, if you're gonna be drinking the way I am, testing things out, you need to fill your stomach and such. I had a lot of water, more crackers, plain of course, and now I'm going to be diving into this one. So a nice German Riesling, which I think based off of here, no, there's some regions that it can tell you the sweetness that it should have. It does not for this one, but that's okay. That is huge. What am I doing? I get lost up in the sound of how nice it sounds. And it's okay. I have lots of appies waiting. So for this Riesling specifically, let's give it a nice smell. It's almost so light that it smells like nothing. Let's give it a nice swirl. I don't notice a significant change, but there's definitely an oh wow moment there, so let's give it a taste. And remember, this is an off-dry or sweet, depending on where it's from. And I think this one's going to be a bit more sweet, so let's see. Oh yeah. Oh, she's sweet. You ever listen to someone sing or listen to ASMR and get full body tingles? Guess what? This is the ASMR of wine apparently. I just got both my arms tingling. I don't know if that's a good thing. Let me have another sip or two. Now, I don't necessarily like super sweet wines. I like very sweet. I do. to hydrate, and then soon just binge eat because I've been drinking a lot. Okay, so a defining moment for me. This is my ultimate favorite white wine, and that is the Jacob's Creek Moscato. Now, I would just like to say Moscatos are incredibly sweet wines, but this one is not as overwhelming as so many that I've had before. I remember my friends would try and make me have their Moscatos, their favorite versions, and I hated Moscatos. I was like, this is disgusting, it's so sweet. And then I'd had this bad boy, this beautiful being, and it changed my life. It was at a friend's house. They'd serve this to me. I'd had a sip, and I'd never tasted a wine that blew me away, and this one did. So let me tell you a bit about it. So Jacob's Creek Moscato is deliciously refreshing frizzante style wine, delicately spritzed with a vibrant sherbet flavor balanced with a lively and soft fruit sweetness. If you're asking me, there's no better white wine out there, but that is for me, and I don't necessarily like dry, I don't necessarily like sweet, and this one for me is perfect and deadly. Let me tell you, the timer just went off for the jalapeno, so I will be right back. I'm upset. And here is, I'm a little tipsy, but I'm upset. And here's why. I just finished one of my appetizers. It's cooling down. But I had filmed an entire tasting of one of these wines, and I have to refilm it. And that just shows why I did not do the 12 wines of Christmas in one go. So, Moscato. Now, as you can see, I had a beverage already. And please try this before you judge it. Any of my subscribers who try it, please leave a comment. Please leave a comment below telling me your experience, because it is so much more than a regular Moscato. Let's dive into it. Tried to make it not small, but it is my favorite, so let's have a huge glass of white wine. So, let's smell. Give ourselves a nice swirl, not making it fly everywhere like we did the last time. Okay, this is actually working better than last time. It's just definitely gonna make me a little more drunk, but that's fine. Oh my god. Oh man. You know what it is? My least favorite wines are green apple. And I think I said previously that my favorite fruit is peaches. I literally have it for a snack every day. And I think that's why I like this, is it has a peachy flavor, but there's a citrus end to it, so it's not too overwhelmingly sweet. And it is just amazing. It's not dry at all. There's no hints of dryness. It's not overwhelmingly sweet, which, believe me, I can't even touch a dessert wine. I will gag. I hate it. I went on a dessert wine tour once and regretted every moment of it. And I'm just telling you, my friends, two of them love Chardonnay and another loves Riesling, and they both loved this. Okay, we have one more bottle of wine, but our second appetizer is complete, so I'm going to remove it from the oven so we can cool off. We can try this wine and then dive into food, which we know I need. Okay, This is why I feel like it could be in its own class, because it can. But it's just, we ended with the sweetest wine, and we're coming back to a slightly drier, but ultimately very sweet rosé wine now. I do taste not necessarily strawberry or watermelon, but I taste a fruity flavor. It's just a bit drier than all the other wines I've had, most definitely. It's very light, however, in comparison to a white dry wine. It is